So the episode starts off with Fran and Kiera kind of going at it. Fran is calling Kiera a bully and saying that, she's like a puppet master. She's making everyone do horrible things and yada yada yada. So Kiera, she's like basically going at Fran like, I'm not a bully. And it's just very chaotic. So Seven, she like kind of gets in between them two, and she's telling Fran, this is the one and only chance that you have that I'm going to do this and that I'm going to walk away because, you're talking reckless. So while Fran is like still running off at the mouth, the Shayla, she's like, I'm going to go beat her A and all of this. So the Shayla, she goes and calls her mom for, I guess, advice. But her mom basically like gave her the go ahead to go and fight and cause drama. So she follows Fran. Fran was walking upstairs with her clothes. I don't know if she was going to her room or the closet. But this Shayla meets Fran in the closet and she's basically telling her that she wants to fight her. So she gets really, really close to Fran like this. And then Fran's like, did you brush your teeth? So the Shayla, she hacks up a lot of spit and she just spits in Fran's face. Like, I was so shocked. Like, I know we saw this at the end of last episode, but just seeing it again, I was like, wow. Oh, and also while she was on the phone with her mom, she was telling her mom that she was going to spit on this white girl and beat her up and all of that. So Fran, like, for a second there, it seemed like she just stood in place, and then all of a sudden she just hit her. She pushed her on the ground. The Shayla kind of looked like she stumbled back and tripped over something, and Fran was just on top of her, beating her up. So I really don't blame Fran because that's very, very disgusting, and why would you want someone to spit on you? That's just crazy. So in the next scene, Fran is calling her hype coach, and her hype coach is telling her that she can like come in for a meeting, and he's basically showing her how to get hype, I guess. I didn't think that this was a real job or you can actually be a hype man or a hype woman, but I guess so. And I was looking at her outfit the whole time like, why are you wearing that? She had on like a short shirt and it looked like she had on underwear, so I was confused. Like, why would you wear that to meet somebody for the first time? Really don't get it. So after that, I think Susan's mother, she called the house and she basically told Susan that her sister Ruth's best friend Stefan died. So Susan got really, really emotional. She was upset. Kiera and Seven were like standing nearby when she was on the phone and she told them. So Seven was basically telling Susan like, you can stay home if you want to because I know how you're feeling right now. While Kiera was like, no, you have to come out and, not like have that on your mind because that's something that's really, really emotional and can make you depressed really, really easily. So they go out to the club and whatnot, and then on their way back, all 7 girls are sitting in the car, and I think something about Susan's family friend passing away comes up, and Kiana, she just starts saying like, oh, my grandma died 3 weeks ago, but y'all don't hear me begging y'all to talk about it or begging for sympathy and all that. And I'm just like, y'all haven't even been in the house for 3 weeks. No one knew you, but no one knew you before then. So her comparing herself to Susan's situation was too much for me. And so Susan, she starts speaking in Spanish, talking about these girls better shut up. And then Kiana starts speaking patois, and Susan thinks that, she's mocking, that Kiana is mocking her Spanish, but actually Kiana's just speaking in her language. So that starts an argument. Susan gets up, looks like she wants to fight Kiana, but surprisingly Kiera, she like is the mediator of it, and she like gets in between them and is like, you know what, I know your grandma died, Kiana, but you need to calm down, and Susan also needs to calm down. So they get back to the house, and Kiana and Friend are, I think, still talking about what happened in the bus or the limo, whatever they were riding in. And Friend, she giggles and says something like, oh, did her husband die too? Because Susan, she was like walking around looking all sad and moping around and all that. So for Fran to say that, that was really, really insensitive of her, because you don't joke about someone dying or anything like that. And they're always bringing up Susan's husband. I don't know why. I mean, he hasn't done anything to y'all. I feel like if they're gonna say something, they should say something about Susan herself instead of bringing like other people into it, and especially saying something about death in a joking way. That's not really cool. So Susan, she was in her room while they were having that little conversation, and she's just getting upset, and she's just really, really angry. So I guess the rest of Susan's crew was out for the night, so I think this is the next day when that happened. And then when they came back, Susan decided to be vocal about Fran saying something about her husband dying. So she just is just standing in the middle of the I don't know, like the lounge area, and she picks up like a Rasso comb, and she's just standing there like a comb like this but with the metal end, and she's just standing there holding in her hand like this. And then everybody's just looking at her like this girl is crazy. Fran is just looking at her and laughing like, what are you gonna do about it? So eventually Kiara, she comes and tells Susan, you know, to calm down, that's not worth it, and yada yada yada. So Susan walks off, and like one of the producers comes out and tells her that she needs to pack an overnight bag, and that she's going to a hotel. So she does that, and on her way out the door, Kiana looks at her. She's like, oh, you better not touch me, you better not hit me, and just saying all this. And I kind of found it awkward that Kiara was like sitting with them. I don't know if Sayora was sitting right beside Kiara, or if that was Susan, but I was kind of confused because I'm like, I thought y'all didn't like each other. So the next day, they have another sit down with Susan. They tell her, oh, you have to go, but she's like, I'm so happy because, you know, it's just too much drama in the house. And plus, she really felt in her heart that she needs to go home to help console her sister, because death is something hard to cope with. Oh, so I also forgot to mention that after Deshayla and Fran had their fight, apparently Fran, as she was walking off, she pointed at Seven, and so Seven was like, get your hand out of my face, and all of a sudden they just started fighting. And then as security was pulling them apart, Kiana just ran out of nowhere and started to attack Seven, and all you saw was Seven drag Kiana around a corner. But then when they brought them back into the camera's focus, you saw Kiana with a whole bunch of hair in her hand. And I was kind of confused because I thought Seven had her hair, but I guess maybe like Seven fell, or Kiana apparently got a hold of her hair.